Can I just ask the audience before I start, how many of you, is it your very first time at alFRED? Wow, lots of you guys, amazing. I'll never forget my first time at alFRED. It was August, a few days before the start of classes. We were having the craziest rainstorm while my uncle and I were driving up here. We got to our hotel in a little town called Wellsville. And the next day, we pulled up to the gymnasium. Everybody had pom-poms and they were screaming, "Welcome, welcome." I got my ID, I got signed in, I met my roommate, I got my room key. And then my uncle said, "Well, have fun getting set up. I'm gonna take your car and go to Watkins Glen State Park. I'll see you when you drive me to the airport tomorrow. Bye." And then he left. For context, I'm not from here. My uncle and I had just driven 12 hours from Tennessee, and my parents, who actually teach at an international school in Hong Kong, were already into their second week of classes. When I got my parents on the phone and I told them my uncle just left me, my mom nearly had a heart attack. She was scared because there was no one around to make sure that I would be okay. Frankly, my parents were scared about a lot, and they had a lot of questions too. I know the ceramics program is good, but are they gonna really see my son there? Is he gonna do good there? I know that there's all these artists in the world that have jobs, but are they gonna get, my son a job? Is there gonna be a community that he can get involved in? What is his dorm gonna be like? Will he even be happy there? To boil my parents' questions down, what they wanted to know was this: will our son be seen there? Will he be known there? And will he thrive there? To go ahead and give you a spoiler about the end of our talk today, the answer is yes. Yes, the answer is yes. Now, I could spend all day talking to you about the ways that I've been seen, been known, and have thrived here at alFRED. And if you want with me on tour a little bit later today, you'll hear some of them. But right now, I want to talk to you about a particular moment from this last October. Allow me to paint you a picture. I was wearing steel-toed boots, a cotton jacket, and safety glasses. The sky was blue, the air was crisp. I was standing on the roof of our foundry building. I had a microphone in my hand, and everything was on fire. Now, the beautiful thing was that everything was supposed to be on fire. See, I was standing on the roof addressing a crowd of a few hundred students and community members at alFRED's second annual Ring of Fire event. The Ring of Fire is an event made to bring students, faculty, and community members together to showcase the possibilities in flame-based arts. We had demonstrations in iron casting, aluminum casting, glass blowing, blacksmithing, raku firing, neon tube bending. There were food trucks, fire trucks, s'mores, and a bunch of fun opportunities for everyone to get involved in. But this whole event, the whole Ring of Fire, wasn't here during my first year at alFRED. In fact, it wasn't here during my second year at alFRED. In fact, it wasn't until halfway through October in my third year at alFRED that anyone even knew that it would be happening at the beginning of November that very same year. So what changed? How did this university go from not having this big event to now advertising it during admissions presentations? What happened was that I was seen, I came to be known, and I was given the opportunity to thrive. To unpack this a bit, let's rewind about 16 months. I was a junior, just a few weeks into my fall semester. I was taking a foundry class where we learned how to cast metals. Now, our foundry professor, Coral Lambert, is undoubtedly one of the best professors we have here at alFRED. Like any professor here, she cares deeply about the success of her students. However, Coral has a special passion for engaging her students in the real thing. One day, she walked into class and said, "Guys, we're going to Pittsburgh. They're doing a big iron pour down there, and you are going to be part of it." So a few short weeks later, my whole foundry class found ourselves pouring iron at Carey furnaces in Pittsburgh. The whole event was absolutely amazing. There was iron casting, aluminum casting, glass blowing, blacksmithing, and raku ceramics. It was like nothing I had ever seen. In fact, it was like nothing any of my peers had ever seen. When I got back to alFRED, I found myself with this burning idea in my mind. Now, this idea was crazy, but I just couldn't shake it. I went to my professor, Coral, and said, "Hey, Coral, you know how Carey Furnaces put on that big event for like 1,000 people? Can we do that here?" Now, to be completely transparent, alFRED University is the only university I've ever attended. Maybe the faculty at every school in America take this much interest in each and every one of their students' crazy ideas. Maybe every professor of Foundry is willing to leverage their own professional connections just so their completely beginner-level Foundry class can experience the real thing. Although I don't know any different, it does feel like it might be special to be able to sit one-on-one with your professor and say, "Hey, professor, can I do something crazy?" And there for them to look at you and say, "Yes, and here's how I can help." Next thing I know, I'm the president of the Sculpture Club. I'm meeting with the Center for Student Involvement every day. How do you buy stuff online? How do I get reimbursed? How does catering work? Can I catch stuff on fire? Who do I email to catch stuff on fire? How do I make posters? Who do I send the posters to? I met with faculty. I met with the students. I met with the art office. One of my good friends, they saw how stressed I was, and then she jumped in and she started emailing people and talking to people. And through all this talking and meeting with people, what people would usually say is, "Well, first, are you sure you can do that?" And then second, they'd say, "How can I help?" So we did it. Between me, my friends, some faculty, some grad students, the Blacksmithing Club Sculpture Society, Clay Collective, the whole art department, some freshmen, sophomores, juniors, and seniors, we did the thing. We put on this event like the one I had seen in Pittsburgh, but for our community. And then a year later, we did it again. And there I was, wearing my steel-toe boots, my cotton jacket, my safety glasses, the sky was blue, the air was crisp, and I was standing on the roof of our Foundry building. I had a microphone in my hand, and everything was on fire. So what's the point? Am I just here trying to convince you to send your students here so they can attend the 3rd annual Ring of Fire? Yes, that is why I'm here. That is. But I'm saying something more than that as well. I'm saying that if your child goes here, their faculty, their peers, they will see your child. I'm saying that when the lovely people from the Center of Student Involvement look at your child and say, "Are you sure you can do that?" And your child says, "Yeah, watch me." They're gonna believe them because they know your child. And if your student is somewhere where people see them and know them, they can thrive. So, what do my parents think? Well, this October, they had an opportunity to make a trip. They said, "Ben, when is the Ring of Fire? We're coming." They got their plane ticket, they got their Airbnb, and they were alFRED bound. They helped me with setup, and they talked to my professors. They engaged with my peers. And when the day of Ring of Fire came, and they saw the people coming in by the hundreds, they took me aside and said, "We are so glad you chose this school. We are so thankful for your professors, for the opportunities you have had, and for the fact that you could make a difference here." So that's my story. I came here and I was seen, I was known, and with time, I found my way to thrive. And so, to close, let me ask you this. In a place where your child is seen, where your child is known, how will they thrive? Thank you.